Independent Dan Osborn wants to be Nebraska's next senator. He joins us now. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's just get right to it. I mean, living in America is not affordable for everyone right now. What would you do to make it so that families can afford things?
Yeah, it's a big question. But I believe if you work hard in this country, your paycheck should matter. You should be able to have a house and some cars and set aside money for college. And I think, my kids' generation is one of the first generations collectively that aren't going to do better than their parents. So we need to do better by that. And we do that by, I think it starts at the top with the Department of Defense has never passed an audit, ever. So there's trillions of dollars in unaccounted for assets. They don't know where it's at. And they add billions to that every year. So it starts with government spending, reeling that in, holding our departments accountable for passing audits. That's going to help not add to the national debt. And then we have to hold corporations accountable for paying their fair share in taxes. So we have to reduce the tax code, simplify it, and have everybody pay their fair share. That would free up trillions of dollars that we could use for small businesses, child health care, or daycare, things like that. So those are the things that I have in mind that I want to go fight for.
Healthcare also a big concern when you're talking about paying for things. What would you change about that?
It is, yeah, and we know we're 46th in life expectancy in the world, and we have the most expensive healthcare on the planet. So I think it starts with antitrust and anti-monopoly laws. Going after, there's just 4 providers. So without competition, there's nothing to drive down change, costs. So that's something that's tops on my list. And the antitrust laws go into a lot of areas too. For example, Dollar General. There's a Dollar General at the end of every town we drive through, and then you see mom and pop shops boarded up. They can't compete. So it's a level playing ground is what I want to establish, to where mom and pop shops should be able to buy the same goods for the same price as Dollar General, because those are the backbone of our communities. So we got to protect that.
A big issue in this election has been abortion, especially here in Nebraska. Where do you stand on that issue?
I'd say in my own personal life, I would consider myself pro-life. I would never advocate for my daughter or anybody I love to have an abortion unless, there was life in the mother or cases of assault. So, but I also don't think the federal government should be into dictating morality to people. And I think the government should stay out of women's health care. Because, if the government started to try to dictate health care to men, I think we'd have a serious problem. So I think the federal government should just stay out of it.
Abortions allowed up to 9 months, or what do you think?
No, of course not. Those are lies. It would basically be going back to the way we've done it for the last 50 years, codifying Roe versus Wade.
Mm-hmm. Of course, we're in a largely agricultural area. Let's talk about trade. Are there changes you would make at all?
Yeah, well, I agree NAFTA's bad. We got to protect our American workers. I think tariffs can be good as long as they're targeted and thought through, right? We've seen some soybean farmers struggle with some tariffs and the fact that they can't sell their beans. But also the Farm Bill needs to get passed. September 30th came and went, and we still have no Farm Bill. They went on vacation, our Congress did. I don't understand that. Now we're on extension from 2018, so our bushel prices, our bean prices, our crop insurance is outdated, as well as anything having to do with welfare. So people are starting to fall behind because both parties want to play politics with it, and that's where I'm getting frustrated. That's why I'm running as an independent.
What needs to be in the Farm Bill?
Well, I think the crop insurance needs to be reflected, and again, even playing field for smaller and favors smaller family farmers and ranches. Right now it favors corporate farming, which I'm not saying we don't need corporate farming. We have a lot of people to feed and a lot of ethanol to make, I get that. But smaller family farms and ranches is better for the environment, and it creates jobs and So it's important that we reflect that in the Farm Bill. And then I would also like to see our welfare systems tiered. I had a rental house years and years ago, and the tenant, I had Omaha Housing Authority on Section 8, so it was public housing. So she came up to me and she was crying because she had to quit her job because she got a promotion at work with a $5 an hour raise. So she had to quit her job so she could stay on the benefits. The system's designed to keep them on the system. So if we could tier that, eventually they could work off of the system, and that's going to save money too.
You mentioned defense spending, and we've got some pretty big wars going on, Israel, Ukraine. What should the U.S.'s role be in those wars?
Well, I think supporting our allies around the globe, especially where like Israel and Ukraine are beacons of democracies, we should be helping our allies. That's what America stands for. And we always have.
So how should we help them?
Well, we help them, continue to be sovereign nations. And if that's, munitions, that's munitions. And what a lot of people don't know is about 80% of the munitions given to Israel and Ukraine have an 80% return on the money in the form of jobs and everything else that goes into making those munitions.
Would you put boots on the ground in those countries?
Well, I don't typically dabble in hypotheticals. These especially, Ukraine and Israel, it's constantly changing, and we have to constantly be reevaluating what kind of help they need. But that's something that you just simply can't answer because currently, right now, in this current landscape, no.
All right. Let's talk about winner take all here in Nebraska. Would you support that?
No. And here's why. First of all, it stifles voices of people, Americans. And second of all, objectively, it brings money into the state. I mean, J.D. Vance came here and spoke. Tim Walz came here and spoke. It would be silly to turn that money down.
Also, do you believe that Nebraska voters can trust the election process?
Yes, we have to. I have to. That's the way I think about it. The integrity of our elections is apex. And, this election is going to have a huge spotlight on it from the allegations from the 2020 election. So, I think we're going to get it right.
You're running as an independent. Doesn't often happen here in Nebraska successfully. Some people might say that I don't know where he stands all the time because there's not that platform with a Republican or a Democrat. What would you say to them?
Well, I would first of all tell them to go to osbornforsenate.com, and almost everything I have I try to put on there so people can come and to that website and check it out. But I've done 180 publicly advertised events. Just had one in Kearney today, and where we go and we talk about issues. I don't shy away from any question, and when you ask me a question, I answer the question. I get fed up, with watching the debates and they ask a question, they immediately sidestep and go off onto whatever it is they want to talk about. So when people ask me a question, I answer it.
What do you think about the out-of-state money coming into this campaign and your challenger's campaign?
It's crazy. It's crazy. So, for example, in Montana, $240 million total is going to be spent on a U.S. Senate race with a population of less than 1 million. This is the broad stroke message of my campaign. We need campaign finance reform. We need to end Citizens United that states corporations are people and a dollar is free speech, so therefore they can give an unlimited amount of money to the independent expenditure. That's the dark money in politics. That is too much influence on our elections. We have to end that. It's disgusting is what it is.
You're from Omaha, lived in Omaha a long time. How can you assure voters out here in central and western Nebraska that you're going to know what they need and what they want out of Washington?
Yeah, well, I would say it's because I signed on the dotted line to serve the country. I was in the United States Navy. I got out of the Navy and I joined the Nebraska Army National Guard to continue my service. I was on a M1A1 Abrams tank crew during that time. It's because I want to serve this state. And I know Omaha and Lincoln are 50% of the population and the rest is spread out. But it's not about that for me. It's about all of the issues that our state faces.
Anything else you want to tell voters?
Well, I'm just excited. I'm excited to be a part of this movement that we've created. You know, this election's a toss-up right now. I think it's going to come down to a matter of a few votes. But I would just tell people what you're going to get from me is you're going to get somebody who can approach policies and issues objectively, not who's been giving me handouts.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for watching. Please hit the subscribe button. And for the latest news anytime, download the NTV News app.